But the subvention budget sits there as the cash. Those sort of offers, the free passes, the sometimes support with a reception, that often is delivered through the convention bureau as part of the marketing support. Yeah. And I'd agree entirely with Juan Jose that there is a distinctive shift of the most successful and sophisticated destinations are moving resources away from the event procurement side, if I could call it that, to the building success side. So they're talking with organisers about how to market, how to attract more delegates, yes, how to identify local sponsors, how to bring in speakers or other resources which can enhance the event. I know that we have a small group from Denmark talking to us today, and Copenhagen runs a very, very innovative site inspection for their clients, where they actually bring in professors from the local university, from the psychology department, to talk about the psychology of learning. So, you know, what they're presenting to the clients is, bring your event to our city, and we've got this resource that can come in to help make your event a more successful learning idea. Now that's very innovative, and we're seeing examples like this which are much more intellectually focused rather than simply hard cash. Because ultimately, these guys have said, it's all about the success of the event. Because association congresses are, would you agree, mission critical for your associations?
Absolutely. It's one of our two revenue levers. We're quite a simple organisation that we have a membership fee, and that membership fee entitles you to then buy a ticket to the Congress. So the Congress is, without that, right now we wouldn't have any revenue stream at all. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's membership development, membership retention. Mm-hmm. And motivating the members to go for our strategy for the sector, mm-hmm, and to push forward the sector. Mm-hmm. So it's money, bien sûr. Sorry.
We're a very international crowd up here as well as in the audience.
Yeah. Of course, but it's much more than money. Mm-hmm. And this is also why we need this warm atmosphere, this efficiency. Mm-hmm. And why we are so careful, mm-hmm, in selecting and in organizing. Mm-hmm. This is our family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
We call them the UITP family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Are we in your family?
No.
You are my cousin.
Let me share with the audience you mentioned. I would like to say hello to Steen Jacobsen. He's in Thailand. He shared with me a very interesting idea for venues and how they were handling the site inspections in Copenhagen when visiting the Belle Center. It was quite interesting because before the client gets to the venue, but before they do nothing, they go to one room, they sit with the client, and they speak for 1 hour about what the client is asking for their events. Usually when you go to, this is blah, blah. No, you sit in one room, you listen, and after you do the whole work. And I think it's a very smart idea. I haven't seen in place in many venues.
Well, I was going to say that actually I've come across this a number of times now, and I'm really in favour of it. We went to see Iccaworld in Hong Kong, and the first thing we did was to sit down with them where they talked about what I was hoping to see that day. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that through our discussion, which lasted not an hour but maybe half an hour, they changed some of the things they were going to show us, so they tailored it. Yeah. And I thought that was just great.
Yeah, certainly. In the few years when I was working for a venue, we did exactly that. My sales team, when talking to association clients in particular, had to spend at least an hour sitting down to say, who are your delegates? What are they trying to achieve? Are they male, female? What parts of the world do they come from? Are there cultural issues? How does it all work? What mood are you trying to create? And only once we actually understood that did we actually start showing them elements. And you can build those type of questions into your response to RFPs and bid manuals. You can start actually going back and drilling down to ask who's at that event, because it's very complex. It's a real community. You've got buyers, sellers, people trying to do business, people trying to learn, people trying to teach, people trying to develop the association. And the more you can provide solutions to the business objectives of each of those sets of stakeholders, the more that the association will feel you are a potential partner. And that's all you're really trying to be able to do.
Yeah.
Gerrit.
Yeah, Martin, do you allow me to cue on the fact that you mentioned that in the past you worked at a venue? Because quite some of our viewers, and I think also some people here in the room, are wondering, well, I work at a venue, and I come to the understanding that I have no place, or what is my place is in this bidding process? Is it always through the convention bureau? Is there something I can do alone, either as a PCO or supplier, to help becoming on top of that shortlist? Maybe that's a nice area to go.
Well, okay. I'll kick off, and then maybe Juan Jose can add in there. We've got listening to us today. We have people from national tourist organisations and convention bureaus, city convention bureaus, convention centres, probably a few hotel people out there, some PCOs, DMCs. I think we started off with talking about the importance of teamwork and everybody playing a part in there. And now it's true that often an association will want to deal through the City Convention Bureau as the main lead organisation. But it's equally true that in many destinations, the Bureau is not necessarily so experienced or so strong. And I know many models where the Bureau deals with the corporate and the small meetings and funneling inquiries out to the private sector. But the big convention centre acts as the prime leader in the long-term business. So that's a relatively common model. Yep. There are others where the Bureau and the centre have a joint task force that works together on bidding. And there are some destinations where there isn't a strong Bureau or a major convention centre where I've seen PCOs take on bidding, both in terms of risk carrying and in terms of coordination. One of the finalists in our Best Marketing Award last year was the PCO Artion from Greece, who got to the shortlist because they had successfully become almost the National Convention Bureau for Greece on behalf of this event. So they took on all kinds of risk and different levels. So you can use bidding skills whether you are whatever sort of supplier. But Juan Jose, you've dealt with lots of bids, and you're a PCO after all, so you shouldn't be involved in bidding, should you? You should just provide the services.
No, no, we lead the bid. Well, okay. the way we work for us it was so clear that if you get specialized, and that came in our company since I attended this program is 2003 in Liverpool. In that idea, if you are able, like a PCO, to lead the bids, which is possible with many associations, not with others, it gives you a clear competitive advantage against others. So in our company, it's one of the core issues for us. So every single day we are thinking on looking for international bids that PCO could be involved in. I would say that you have mentioned two clear things before, David. The Convention Bureau plays an important role, of course, and the clients wants to deal with the Convention Bureau because it's the umbrella of all the parties. But the venue is critical, so it's the most important stakeholder. With no venue, there will be no conference. I would say the two key criteria for a conference is how do I get there and where do we meet? And after where do we sleep? But I say it's the second decision-making criteria. So the venue has to play a very important role in the bidding process from my perspective.
Yeah, and sorry, I was just going to jump in there to say that often or sometimes there's a very weak convention bureau. Now we want to start there as an association. That's our starting point, is to say, is there a convention bureau that will want to take this on? If there is, that's our starting point. But make no mistake, the venue has to be right. And so that is the absolute key in all of this, because they're going to be delivering all the services and everything else. So the only reason we go for the Convention Bureau first is because they can bring us other things. After a while, you focus in straight on the centre itself. And for 2014, for example, I'm not talking to the Convention Bureau at all really about what the things we're doing now. It's all about where is registration going to be, where is our business meetings and so on.
Helga, you want to comment?
In fact, I don't mind who is leading the game. I don't mind. I know that you are all professionals in your field, and somebody is the coordinator, somebody is the leader. And never forget, the candidate in your ITP's view are our members.
Yeah.
So I'm happy and grateful if the profession, the meeting profession, is supporting my members. So this is important for me. And as far as the venue is concerned, so we launched a call for interest, and we received 12, 15 marks of interest. And we select at once out those where the venue is not big enough or has not the exhibition size, etc., etc. So those who stay in the game, we know that the venue might be suitable. They have 30,000 square meters, they have so many meeting rooms, etc. But frankly, can be anybody who is coordinating as long they are working as one group and supporting my members.
That's true, but right at the beginning, we need an impartial assessment of the city, and sometimes you don't get that because if they're not signed up as members of the Convention Bureau, or the Convention Bureau isn't strong enough, you then get led towards either through commercial interest to one place or another, and it may not be ideal for you. And this has happened a couple of times where I thought the best deal for us was this one place. When I do the site inspection, I said, why didn't you show me this other place over here? And so on. And it's because they weren't part of the setup.
I hope that doesn't happen too often, and certainly not in your cities. Okay, I think we're probably getting quite close to the end now. So I'd like to take this opportunity to try and get some final hints or advice about bidding, just randomly, anything you want to share with the audience around the world or here in the room that they can take away about bidding that they should pay attention to. Juan Jose, anything?
In my opinion, I said that at the beginning. We had to change the concept. We have to be a smart bidding destination, from supplier to partners. That's my recommendation.
Okay, Helga, any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. I think it's very important that you do your research work on the association you want to attract to your city. And ICCA has a wonderful database and wonderful information. But if you go on Google and you find, and there are tricks how you can really cross-referencing with Google. So who are the members, how we behave, etc., what is our strategy. You find out so much, and this is for the winning party.
And use it.
Yeah.
Use that information. Anyway, David.
Well, I'd just like to say that if the people that I've met this week and the questions I've had are reflective of the industry in a whole, I think this industry is in pretty safe hands, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I would also say to those that weren't here and are watching this from somewhere else, you really ought to be here, because it's a networking as well. It's not just these sessions that we're doing. It's when you meet your peers and you know that you'll be with them for a long time. And I think it's been a great event. Thank you to all of you.
And I just want to make very clear, I did not ask David to say that beforehand.
He did.
Okay? He did. Really? Okay, I've got one piece of practical advice, and I only heard about this advice this year when we were doing our bidding process for our Congress in 2016. And I don't know if you know, but we had two very, very strong shortlisted destinations. We had Kuching, which is, everybody in the room, put your hand up if you know where Kuching is. You will do, I promise you. Kuching is in Sarawak, which is one of the Malaysian states on the island of Borneo. And they beat Prague in the final shortlist. Both great technical bids, both followed through with all the questions, and it was very difficult to make a decision for the board. But during the bid presentation, there were a couple of differences, but one which really struck me home as a very good learning experience. When the board members asked the team questions about the bid, or follow-up questions, or just random questions about what it would be like to organize the meeting there and what the delegates would experience, every time we asked the guys from Malaysia, somebody would step forward and give an answer. And when we asked the guys from Prague, they would look at each other and say, well, who's going to deal with this one and whatever. And I discovered later that the Malaysian team had actually gone away and set up a retreat for their team, brought in a moderator, and had rehearsed every possible question that they could think of that we might ask them. Impressive. And worked out who would give the answer in which case. And so when they were asked these questions, it looked like, everybody, and it was no, I disagree, and looking a little bit shaky. Really good hint for anyone who's doing a bid. sit down beforehand, play devil's advocate, bring in people from outside to ask you really, really tough, difficult questions you may not have anticipated, and rehearse the answers. And bring in your professors, bring in your doctors, and help them to understand how to deal with those questions. Because often you'll have a great bid, but at the end of the day, if you can't perform when you're sitting in front of that small group of emotional creatures, and you look a little bit uncertain, deer in the headlights, you may lose out to the guys who've done that process. So take it on board. It's a real learning lesson. Harry, how are we doing on our close-up?
I'm afraid this is the end of it for the live session, and we're about ready to start with the after show for our online viewers.
Okay, so just leaves me to say thank you very much to my distinguished panel. Thank you very much to the audience here in the room for the comments you've been sending through as well, and for listening and for your participation the last couple of days. And thank you to our friends in Beijing, in Copenhagen, especially in Bangkok, to all of our Thai friends for their sponsorship and support, and to all of you ICCA members and non-members and associations around the world. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you've picked up some useful hints and ideas, and hopefully we'll see many of you at the Research, Sales and Marketing Programme in Amsterdam next year. Thank you.
Thank you.